floor is yours.
I'm going to take my coat off.
But you made it in the well with it on, okay? So you still get
Okay.
the way.
I'm going to turn it around.
I'm gonna turn it around. We're gonna get
Okay,
it.
you're going to get it around so that that's there.
Think you got it. There you go.
Madam Speaker, to my colleagues on both sides of the aisle, it has been a privilege to have had this extraordinary opportunity to serve with you for the past 30 years in the House of Representatives. And a special thank you to our tremendous Democratic House leadership. Thank you, Majority Leader Steny Hoyer, for being a great strategist, mentor, and friend. And Majority Whip Jim Clyburn, for what you've taught me and all that you've done for this great nation. Thank you to Speaker Nancy Pelosi, a trailblazer who was the first female Speaker of the House in history and is rightfully being called the most effective Speaker in modern times. And a very special mention to the new Speaker, Hakeem Jeffries. New York is so proud of you. Like Speaker Pelosi, my career has been a series of firsts. I was the first woman to represent my district on the City Council and to represent my district in Congress, and the first in history to give birth while in the City Council. Many men became fathers, but I was the first one to become a mother while serving in the City Council. I was also the first woman to serve as chair of the Joint Economic Committee, as well as the House Committee on Oversight and Reform. I remember almost as if it were yesterday, walking towards the Capitol as a newly elected member. I had just defeated a 14-year incumbent Republican who outspent me 4-1. No one thought I could win, yet I did, and I had such a feeling of hope and optimism of what could be done to help people. I will never forget walking down the aisle, not to get married, but to be sworn into the United States Congress. I said it then, and it's still true today, that serving in the United States Congress is the thrill, honor, and extraordinary opportunity of a lifetime. The first time I ever walked onto the floor of this historic chamber was 1992. It was called the Year of the Woman. I announced my run for Congress on the day of the Casey versus Planned Parenthood Supreme Court decision, which placed restrictions on Roe to a woman's right to choose, along with New York great leaders like Bella Abzug, Geraldine Ferraro, and Elizabeth Holtzman. They expressed their outrage, and I announced my run for Congress to fight to reverse this situation and to bring other changes. It is really hard to believe that years later, in 2022, the Supreme Court didn't just chip away at abortion, they bulldozed our rights into the ground, depriving 33 million American women of access to abortion. When I first entered Congress, about 10% of Congress were women. Back then, the entire Women's Caucus could meet in an elevator. Our numbers have now moved to 149, or nearly 28%. As the great New Yorker Shirley Chisholm once said, and I quote, "You don't make progress by standing on the sidelines, whimpering and complaining. You make progress by implementing ideas," end quote. And there is no better place in the world to implement new ideas than the United States Congress of America. And that is just what I did. In the last 30 years, I have authored and passed more than 80 bills, and had 12 presidential bill signings with 5 of our presidents, which are usually reserved for transformational legislation. President Clinton signed my Nazi War Crimes Disclosure Act and the Standby Guardianship Act for Children. President Bush signed my Debbie Smith Act, which has been called the most important anti-rape legislation ever passed, as well as many sex trafficking prevention laws, and CFIUS, the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States, to protect our infrastructure and to protect our country. In 2009, President Obama signed my Credit Card Bill of Rights, which, according to the CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, has saved consumers over $16 billion a year, $16 billion each year since 2009. Even President Trump signed my Never Again Education Act to support Holocaust education, as well as the 9/11 Health and Compensation Bill, which is part of the reason why my coat is hanging here. I wore this coat for well over a year, every single day, until we approved the necessary funding for this vital program to help our heroes and our heroines. They were there for us. We need to be there for them, and they still need more help. More legislation needs to be passed this year to help them. Just this past April, President Biden signed my Bipartisan Postal Reform Act, and thanks to Oversight Committee Ranking Member James Comer, we proved that bipartisanship can prevail over partisan bickering in the best interests of America. All of these achievements would not have been possible without my fellow members of Congress, who have proven to me that if you work hard enough, our government can provide for the people. I truly believe that the best legislation is always bipartisan, and I hope our Congress can come together more for more meaningful legislation, as we did after 9/11, as we did after natural and financial disasters, as we came together during the COVID-19 pandemic, and as we came together in our bipartisan infrastructure bill, and so much more. Believe me, there is no nation that is better or stronger or more innovative than the United States when we work together. I'd also like to recognize those who have worked in my office over the years, including my district office staff and my DC staff and the staff of the Oversight Committee and the Joint Economic Committee. Our work truly would not have been possible without your hours of dedication, your intelligence, and your selfless dedication to public service. To each and every one of my friends and constituents, thank you for your continued support and inspiration. It has been the honor of my life to represent the people of New York's 12th Congressional District. I also want to thank my wonderful family, my 2 amazing daughters, Christina and Virginia, my son-in-law Peter and baby Leland. You are the joy and meaning of my life. And thank you to the love of my life, Cliff Maloney, who is with me in spirit and whose support always meant the world to me. As I speak today, I am thinking of the important work that lies ahead. Rest assured, I will continue to keep fighting for the issues that are near and dear to my heart, including the Equal Rights Amendment. Let's get it ratified and in our Constitution. There can be no time limit on equal rights, and the ERA is needed now more than ever to stop any more bulldozing over of women's rights. We need Senator Schumer, and over 150 of my colleagues have joined me in writing him and requesting him to put the time limit bill on the floor for the vote so that the American people who can see who is for equal rights and who is against it. Infrastructure is in my DNA, especially in these times when modernization and new systems for transportation are so vital to our future. I am proud that the 2 largest federally funded construction projects, not in New York City, not in New York State, but in the entire country, are in the district I am privileged to represent. The 2nd Avenue Subway and the East Side Connector. I am proud to have brought over $10 billion in infrastructure funding to my district alone. And as I part, I will continue to work towards building high-speed rail between New York and Boston. Nothing would build our economy stronger or better. My dear colleagues, together, we have bent the moral arc of this nation in the direction of justice and fairness. But we mustn't rest until equal means just that, equal. Finally, I have always regarded public service as a loan, one that I must repay each and every day I am in office. And thanks to your tireless efforts, wisdom, and support, I feel like I leave office debt-free. The best is yet to come. It has been an honor to work and serve with all of my colleagues. Madam Speaker, thank you once again, and I yield back.
Thank you so much, Representative Maloney. Your account is overflowing with the work of justice that you did for the people of New York and indeed the American people, and we all know it, so thank you so much.
Thank you for being arrested with me as we protested,
that was quite an honor.
For the rights of women to make decisions about their own bodies. I would say there is no democracy if you cannot make your own health care decisions.
That sounds right to me.
It was an honor to work with you. I will miss you, all of my colleagues. Thank you, and I yield back.
Thank you.